Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Alrighty then. Alright, so welcome to Mikestand. Today, of course, is Monday, November the 17th, 2025. Hopefully, everybody's having a good day thus far, good start to your week. We're going to give people a chance to come in before we get started. Um, we're not too far, we're just about another week and a half away from Thanksgiving, so hopefully, everybody's preparing for some good eats there. Um, let's see. And of course, a friendly reminder to everybody, if you guys haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Um, see, it looked like for a moment there we might have had some more people here, but let's see. Anyways, hopefully everybody caught last night's show with my special guest, Ray Christian. So let's see. So yeah, looks like we got some people on Rumble as well. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. So tonight on the night show, we're gonna go over one article from we had some people. Hello, hi. Clip 7857. Hello, clip 7857. I'm reading that right, hopefully. Um, oh no. Oh, I guess clip Z167. I guess. Hello. Hopefully, you're having a good start to your week this far, clip. Um. All right. So with that, all right. So here's what's on tap for tonight. Of course, um, we're going to go ahead and so tonight we're going to go over one article from Bleeding Fool, talking about article from Chris Braley this time, where he's talking about, I guess there's an upcoming DC Marvel crossover that they're talking about that they feel will threaten the financial future of comic shops. We'll find out a little bit more about that. Also, get caught up on all the happenings in professional wrestling over the weekend with the wrestling wrap up. Of course, look back to Friday Night SmackDown, as well as the TNA pay per view Turning Point. See what all happened there. Saturday Night's Collision, as of course, this week this Saturday, AEW will be having its Full Gear pay per view, so they'll probably be preparing. And they had the Blood and Guts this past Wednesday, so we will see what's all going down there. And then we'll wrap things up with this day in Nietzsche history. So, with that being said, one last friendly reminder before we get into the topics at hand. If you guys haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, with that being said, why don't we go ahead and bring up the material here, and then we will get going on the article here. Alrighty then. So, here we go. Marvel DC crossover event threatens financial future of comic shops. Article by Chris Braley, published earlier today. So here, let's see what's going on here. See the panel there with Thor and Captain Marvel. Well, I guess they're calling him Shazam now. I will always think of him as Captain Marvel because that's who he was as I was growing up. But yeah, Shazam, and because apparently at some point, of course, Marvel Comics got the rights to the name Captain Marvel. So even though it was originally in the hands of Fawcett Comics. So anyways, let's get into this. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to need to go off camera here for a quick moment. I'll be right back, but I will put some music on to entertain you guys while I'm gone. I'm just going to go off camera for a quick moment. Okay. All right, sorry about that. Anyways, let's get to the articles at hand here. All right, so let's get into this. All right, so Marvel Comics and DC Comics have announced new digital-only crossover comics and are offering free subscription trials for their digital platforms. So this is what he's worried about with the worry about the financial future for comic shops. DC Universe Infinite and Marvel Unlimited. This follows Marvel sold out Deadpool Batman #1 physical comic, with DC's Batman Deadpool #1 set to release next week digitally. The digital stories will be free to read for 30 days after registration before locking behind a paywall. Both companies are releasing these stories in a vertical scroll format designed specifically for digital devices. So basically, these services, if you have, like your phones or whatever, you want to just be able to pull them up, you can. The first title on DC Universe. Now, obviously, for comic shops, it would be a bit more of a hassle because, if you can get comics on these digital platforms for free, why would you then want to make the trip to the comic shop and spend your money there to get the comics? Especially if they're basically the same stories. The first title on DC Universe Infinite is The Flash Fantastic Four, written by Jeremy Adams and drawn by Adrian Gutierrez. It features Barry Allen and the Fantastic Four battling through the Speed Force to stop Gorilla Grodd. On Marvel Unlimited, a Thor Shazam story, which we saw up top there, authored by Al Ewing and illustrated by Jethro Morales. So a lot of lightning going on in that Thor Shazam comic, obviously. Illustrated by Jethro Morales, teams Donald Blake with Billy Batson to recover stolen powers of Thunder. Fans can redeem a free digital copy of the Thor Shazam crossover with the code crossover25 until December 17th, 2025. About a month. Actually, from today, it is a month. It's exactly a month. Uh, 30 days from now. DC and Marvel are also offering their US subscribers codes for a 30-day free trial to their company service. DC Universe Infinite subscribers without Marvel Unlimited will receive a free trial for Marvel Unlimited's monthly service. Marvel subscribers without DC Universe Infinite will get a trial of DC's Ultra monthly plan. New signups must register by December 17, 2025. Both services automatically renew and have different terms. God, well, thank you for that, Galgo Wentworth. Thank you for that. It's nice to hear. I'm fully aware. I am fully aware of that. Or Gage Wentworth, I guess. Hmm. And again, friendly reminder to everybody, if you haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and um, I will try to um, answer them to the best of my ability. So, continuing on here, as we continue on here, let's see. Now, I guess we're getting into the comic shop part of it. So, while comic readers may like these offers, this aggressive push into digital is not necessarily good news for brick and mortar comic shops. Basically, your local comic book shop where you go to, right? Not only do comic shops do not make money. Okay, somebody did a typo there. I think it's supposed to say not only do comic shops not make money from digital sales, they also risk losing physical comic sales to those readers who abandon print copies to adopt the digital approach. When Marvel, yeah, that would be true because if you could, it's a lot easier. You don't have to worry about taking up space with the physical copies. You know, of the comic if you can just go online and read them. When Marvel and DC's digital platforms were initially announced, there were delays of up to 6 months for digital versions versus the release date of the print versions, making sure comic shops had time to sell the books before making them available via digital. This new promotion flips that delay on its head. See, you see a picture of some kids or some people reading a physical copy of a comic right there. So this isn't the first time Marvel has attempted to do digital-only releases. Back in 2020, Marvel announced a handful of digital-only titles of books that were held up by the COVID-19 pandemic and the subsequent shutdown of Diamond Comics distributors, which we've covered on this channel quite a bit. We've gone through those articles and talked about what was going on with Diamond there. After severe pushback, Marvel eventually told retailers they would release print copies of most of those titles. Back then, the titles were Hawkeye Freefall, Ant-Man, Ghost Spider, and Valkyrie Jane Foster. Not exactly big selling books. Yep. Probably more like the I don't know, B minus or C level heroes, I guess. Um, this time is different. This time it is different. A publishing crossover between DC comic characters and Marvel Comics characters is historic and has been a dependable sales boom for both companies in the past. Uh, the Tangent Universe, the Amalgam Universe, come to mind. Um, for those of you, I'm sure some of you who are comic enthusiasts probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Hey, Metal. I don't think this is really costing LCS too many sales. Sales have been down regardless. This is mostly picking up customers who wouldn't go to the LCS anyways. Hmm. Interesting point there. Interesting point to be made there. Hmm. All right, so let's see now. Let's see, where was I? Oh yeah. It is rare and usually pretty special to readers. This time, the Big Two's decision to prioritize digital platforms over supporting comic shops is a slap in the face to local retailers and readers. I don't know, Metal. I know you just commented on this. Do you think that's a slap to the face of retailers, the local retailers? Hmm. Anyways, I'll finish off this paragraph, and I'll check see if you answer. Comic shops offer a unique experience that digital services simply can never replicate or replace. That idea of the that I well, I get what he's saying with that line. The idea of that human interaction, right? Of interacting with other people, other fans, like, yeah, you can sit behind a computer screen and look the comics up and read them, but then you don't have, unless you do like what I do every Sunday, and Metal knows that all too well. Unless you have, you do something like that where you get together with some people, read the comics together, and talk about them. You don't really have much, social interaction there. You know, doing digital, something like what I do with it. But let's see. It's sad to see Marvel and DC so blatantly choosing their bottom line over the health retailers they've relied on for decades. It kind of gives you the impression of the idea of trying to just kind of push the old man out the door, in his walker and all that. Let's see now. Uh, I mean, no more or less than they have been slapping them in the face. They've been slapping them in the. They've been slapping them nonstop for decades. I think they just kind of pointed that out too. There, Metal. Um, all right. Anyways, as we of course continue on here, the article. Let's see, wrapping this up a bit. And this article went a little faster than I thought it would. I might actually add another article in. So while mainstream comics media is seemingly applauding this decision, there is no way this will help small business owners, and in fact undermines the communities and cultures that have been built around those shops. If comic publishers continue to want to grow their digital footprint at the expense of physical stores, they can expect the entire comic shop landscape to suffer. With this latest heavy focus on digital subscriptions, Marvel and DC are trying to increase digital readership while they directly undercut comic retailers who have been the backbone of the comic community since the direct market was born. Now, mind you, yeah, I mean, I think from a business perspective, it almost sounds like DC and Marvel almost trying to like cut out the middleman. Rather than go through your local comic shop, they just set up a site to where you can buy and read the comics on on digital services. You know, but they're basically just trying to cut out the middleman that way. But at least for the big two, yeah, it might hurt the comic shop. But I don't even. I just thought of something too, or just something just crossed my mind too, just now, just a second here. Um, yeah, um, Marvel and DC may be doing that, but we haven't heard if like some of the other companies like Dark Horse or Image or Archie, if they're doing that as well. You know, now they're doing that as well, then that would seriously undercut the comic shop. But if they're not at least doing that, then comic shops might still be able to be around for a while. Depends upon on how many. Granted, the big two definitely would probably be hurting them, but anyways, if they if they look at their competitors, like the Shonen Jump app, that's just where the market is. Most young people read on their phone. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you make a good point there. Young people, a lot, the youth culture of today does everything on their phones, right? They access the internet on their phones. They play games on their phone. They read comics on their phone. You know, I wouldn't be surprised that unless the parents are heavily involved, I wouldn't be surprised if you have some kid, well, and you probably have like the young adults, the 18, 25-year-olds who probably even utilize the dating apps as well on their phones. So just goes to show you. But anyway, so we're at 23 minutes here. Oh, maybe I can try to. Oh, maybe I can try to see if I can find something else, another article to go through. I think we still have some time here. Again, friendly reminder to everybody, if you haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. So let me just take a look here since this article came to an end. Let's see what else we can find article wise. Metal, if you're still here, if you want to share the link to your YouTube, because I know you have your show coming up after my show tonight or a little later here. If you want to drop your link to your show for tonight, feel free to do so people can head over there, after we're done here. And of course, I'll highlight that when we get to that point. And there you go. So tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Pacific, 8 Mountain, um, 9 Central, 10 Eastern. Head over to the Vomitorium, as Metal and his co-host Marsupial Gamer will be, will of course be talking a lot of the same things I talk about: comics, anime, manga, comics, cartoons, and the like, pop culture in general. Primarily, as I understand it, anime and anime and manga and comics. So some cartoons, but anyways, so if you guys want to go check that out, check him out, give him some love from here. So anyways, so I'm going to continue looking at. Well, I guess I can keep that up while I'm looking, see if there's any articles to go here. Actually, I did. Let me see. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Well, guess we'll just. All right. So let's see. Oh, it looks like we have a few more things here. All right. We'll probably talk about photos from the Legend of Zelda movies set from today. All right. And then among other things. All right. Good thing. All right. So anyways, let's see here. All right. All right, so we're now at about 28, 29 minutes here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and move on to the wrestling wrap up, as there was quite a bit going on this weekend. Friday, of course, TNA had their Turning Point pay-per-view, coming off of a one show build, basically, that a lot of people were not happy with, especially with what happened towards the end of the show. Then, of course, and also we'll go back and look over, we'll go back and look over, SmackDown and AEW's Collision, as of course this Saturday, AEW will be having its Full Gear pay-per-view, so we'll be looking at that. We'll be talking a little bit about that too. I know, maybe find out, see if there's anything that came up with that. So let's go back and look over some of this stuff here. TNA. Total nonstop action. That's what. For those of you who don't know, TNA stands for Total Nonstop Action. Not the other thing you all probably are thinking of. So both the countdown and the main show. So Total Nonstop Action was at the Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida. The pre-show, which was on YouTube with Tom Hannafan and Matthew Rainwell, the countdown show saw Jake Something defeat both Mance Warner and the Hometown Man in a triple threat match to get the win there, before getting into the main show. And on the main show for that Turning Point past Saturday, also from Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida. Opening match of the evening saw Kalani Jordan retain the TNA Knockout. NXT's Kalani Jordan retained the TNA Knockouts world title over M by Elegance of the Elegance brand. And this match, even though it was probably a good match from what I've seen here by the scores, I think some people are not happy. Some people are just not happy with how some of these situations are booked between NXT and TNA and WWO. Then in a match that was set up on the previous night's Impact, AJ Francis defeated BDE, the YouTuber, after, of course, on the previous this match being set up on the previous night when AJ Francis put BDE through a table on the previous night's Impact. So AJ Francis, albeit they said that BDE had a pretty good showing for himself in the match. And a no DQ match that was also set up on the previous night's Impact. Indy Hartwell got some revenge, and she got another win, this time a clean win pretty much on Dani Luna, after Dani Luna got herself disqualified the previous night. And then in a match, the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Championship, a three-way match, the Inspiration of Cassie Lee and Jessie McKay retained over Angel Warriors of Zaya Brookside and Lei Ying Lee, and then the team of Mila Moore and Victoria Crawford. Mila Moore, who was filling in for Tessa Blanchard, who was not cleared to wrestle, as it were. She's apparently not cleared to wrestle for some reason. But then in a six-man tag match, the team of Order 4, Mustafa Ali and the great hands of Jason Hotch and John Schuyler, with Special Agent Zero and Tasha Steelz in their corner, defeated the team of Prime, Cedric Alexander, and TNA World Tag Team Champions, the Hardys, Jeff and Matt Hardy. Let's see. I had no idea. That's what it stood for, to be honest. Yeah. So, Total Nonstop Action. It started up back in 2002. I know a lot of people will joke, when they hear TNA, they think like TNA as in T and A, or basically the more, I guess, more vulgar interpretation of it. But no, it's yeah. So anyways, continuing on here. And then in an 8-man tag match, the match was originally scheduled to be the System of Eddie Edwards, JDC, Moose, and Brian Myers to take on the Rascals of course, Trey Miguel, Myron Reed, Zargin Wentz and a mystery partner, and that mystery partner ended up being the returning Desmond Xavier, coming off of his recent release from the WWE, who, when he was in WWE, wrestled as Wesley. As you do find a lot of the people who are getting released by the WWE who are like either on the main roster, kind of like Indy Hartwell and all that, or ones who are on NXT, like Desmond Xavier, are now getting picked up and signed by TNA. So the Rascals, with the returning Desmond Xavier, defeated the System in an 8-man tag match. Then you had in an X Division title match, Leon Slater retained over former X Division champion Rich Swann. Rich Swann in his first match in quite some time with TNA. And then the main event was a tag team. Originally this was scheduled to be a tag team, but then it started out as a handicap match as they seemed to be working an angle that Mike Santana might have been upset at how they took the title off of him on the previous night's Impact, as it was originally scheduled to be Mike Santana teaming with Steve Maclin, who's the international champion, take on Frankie Kazarian and Nick Nemeth. And then when Kazarian defeated Santana on the previous night's Impact, Mike Santana was not around for a lot of the show. They thought he was going to just skip out on the match altogether, and then comes at the end. And then, of course, they get jumped after the match by a bunch of what they called the WEC teamers from like Evolve and stuff like that, or the ID program. So, I do like some good TNA. Anyways, all right. So that's all we got for the Turning Point pay-per-view. Of course, they'll back on. They're of course doing some tapings. They did some. So of course they had of course taping on Saturday, and we'll probably see some of that coming up this Thursday. So now let's go ahead and take a look at Friday Night SmackDown. The WWE, of course, has got a couple of things going on. They're building, of course, towards just under 2 weeks. They're building towards Survivor Series coming up on the 29th. And then, of course, they also have they're building up towards Survivor Series, but also they're building towards, they're trying to determine who will be John Cena's final opponent, as they're holding the Last Time Is Now tournament to determine who will face John Cena at the December 14th Saturday night's main event, or December 13th Saturday night's main event. Next month. John Cena's final match of his career. Anyways, looking now, of course, so let's go back to Friday Night SmackDown here. So last Friday, WWE held its Friday Night SmackDown. From the MVP Arena in Albany, New York, with Michael Cole and Corey Graves on commentary. Advancing in the last time is now tournament first round match. Jey Uso defeated The Miz, which that match got a little. There was some criticism there that because they believed that maybe The Miz should have been able to advance, as he's had some history, of course, with John Cena, but Jey Uso defeated The Miz. In the other first round match from Friday's show, LA Knight defeated the returning Zack Ryder. This is apparently a one-off, as Zack Ryder, known to most fans on the independent scene under his real name of Matt Cardona, brought him back for this one-off. And then in another United States title open challenge, Ilya Dragunov defeated Axiom in that matchup. In a non-title match, WWE Women's Champion Jade Cargill defeated B-Fab. And then in the main event, Cody Rhodes successfully retained the undisputed WWE title by a DQ over Bronson Reed. So you have from the show Jey Uso and LA Knight advancing in the tournament to see who would be the last person to face John Cena at next month's in 3 weeks now, I guess, about 3.5 weeks for his final match at Saturday Night event, Dragunov with the central title defense and all that. So now we'll of course, all right, we'll go back to, so we'll look ahead a little bit here to what's going down on tonight as WWE continues to build towards Survivor Series coming up just under 2 weeks away. Tonight from Madison Square Garden in New York City, New York, WWE's long home, on Netflix. 2 more first round matches in the last time is now tournament, as Gunther is set to take on NXT talent Javon Evans, who the WWE is high on, and Solo Sikoa is set to take on a mystery opponent for tonight's match. And then in a match for the WWE Women's Intercontinental title, Becky Lynch will be defending the title against Maxine Dupree. So now we will go ahead and so this past Saturday, from the Erie Insurance Arena in Erie, Pennsylvania, on TNT, AEW held its Collision pay-per-view with, of course, Tony Schiavone, Nigel McGuinness, and Matt Menard on commentary. John Moxley on commentary for special guest commentator for at least one of the matches. I'd take it. So the opening match on Collision, as they're building towards this weekend's Full Gear pay-per-view, the Death Riders team of Daniel Garcia, Pac, and Wheeler Yuta defeated the team of Tommy Billington, Jay Lethal, and Adam Priest, with, I believe, after the match, Pac issuing a challenge to Darby Allin for this Saturday's Full Gear. We'll double check and make sure of that. In a Battle of the Marks, Ring of Honor Hall of Famer and Conglomeration member Mark Briscoe defeated Mark Davis of the Don Callis family. In women's action, Ty Mallow defeated Taya Valkyrie in just over 2 minutes. In a match for the TNT title, Kyle Fletcher successfully retained over former 3-time TNT champion Scorpio Sky. In a women's tag team match, former AEW Women's World Champion Riho teamed with Alex Windsor to defeat Heian and Maya World. An 8-man tag team main event saw Bandito, one half of the AEW World Tag Team Champions and current Ring of Honor World Champion, teaming with Jet Speed of Speedball Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight and the Jet Kevin Knight and Juice Robinson of the Bullet Club to defeat the team of FTR of Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler and La Facción Ingobernables, of course, the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions Sammy Guevara and Rush. So coming up this Saturday for AEW will be the full gear pay-per-view. And I do believe one of the matches, as I mentioned, was that may have at least been issued for a challenge was and of course Full Gear will be coming from the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. So yeah, Pac will be facing Darby Allin. And then in a $1,000 6-man tag team match, Josh Alexander of the Don Callis family teams with the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, to take on Kenny Omega and the Jurassic Express of Luchasaurus and Jack Perry. Now, recently it was announced that AEW would be adding a national title, and that match would be happening here in a casino gauntlet match. Participants already include both members of the Hurt Syndicate of Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley. Ricochet will be involved in that. Jet Speed will be involved in that, and there's set to be 2 others. So Speedball Mike Bailey, and so the winner of this match will, of course, become the first AEW national title, who they're saying their lineage comes from the old Georgia Championship Wrestling national title holder. In a no DQ match, Kyle Fletcher defends the AEW TNT title against Mark Briscoe. In a match for the AEW World Tag Team title, Brodita, the current champ Brodita of Ring of Honor World Champion Bandito and Brody King will answer the challenge of two-time former champs FTR of Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler with Stokely in their corner. Chris Statlander is set to defend the AEW Women's World title against 13-belt Monet now, Mercedes Monet. And in a steel cage match for the AEW World title, Hangman Adam Page defends against 1/3 of the AEW World Trios champions, again, Samoa Joe. Now, I just saw a note here as well. In the match of the TNT, the no disqualification TNT title, if Mark Briscoe should lose that match, he will have to leave the conglomeration and join the Don Callis family. They kind of did this as well with Mark Davis as well, kind of. But so that's all we got for the wrestling wrap-up. So now what we're going to do, of course, hey, Fitchozo, thanks for popping in. If you haven't already, you can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So with that being said now, today is Monday, November the 11th, 2025. So let's go ahead and take a look back At this day in each history. History! So first off, I'm going to head back to 1999. That was, of course, 26 years ago today. On this date, 26 years ago today. So I find it here. On this date, 26 years ago today, the fifth and final issue of MD from Gemstone went on sale on this date back in 1999. So on this date back in 1999, fifth and final issue of MD from Gemstone Comics went on sale on this date back in 1999. Sold for $250, was 32 pages. All right then. So, anyways, now moving on to the next piece in each history. We move ahead to the year 2010, which was 15 years ago today. On this date, 15 years ago today, back in the year 2010, the following OVA specials were released by their respective companies on this date back in 2010. Shaft Studio Staff and Studio Pastoral, Maho Senshi Negima, Mo Hitotsu no Sekai Extra, Maho Shoujo. Basically, a Negima special was released on this date back in 2010. Also, Studio Kokumi's Koei de Oshigoto and Satellite's Air Gear Kiro no Hane to Nomori no Mori Break on the Sky. So you had a Negima, Air Gear, and Koei de Oshigoto all released on this day. From let's see, the Negima from Shaft Studio Pastoral, Koei de Oshigoto from Studio Kogumi, and Satellite's Air Gear special, all released on this date back in 2010. And then moving ahead to the year 2020. I've watched it. Yeah, Air Gear is a cool one. I've seen that one too, Metal. I've seen that one too. I mean, it's a pretty charged up anime, so I've also seen it, so. All right, and finally, moving ahead to the year 2020, on this date in the year 2020, on this date in the year 2020, premiering on Disney Plus, the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special, which was a Christmas special produced by Lucasfilm Animation, the Lego Group, and Atomic Cartoons, premiered on Disney Plus on this date back in 2020. 5 years ago today, the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special premiered on Disney Plus on this date back in 2020. We've seen Air Gear. All right. All right. So with that being said, I thank everybody for being here tonight. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. And of course, we'll be back here with more Niche News tomorrow. Also, this Sunday, I'll be joined by Apex from Apex Comics. We're continuing our look down Comics History Lane from July of 1940. We'll be looking at Cyclone Comics number 3 from Harvey. And so I'd rather watch a Lego stop motion recreation of the 78 Star Wars Holiday Special. Okay. Anyways, So with that, I thank everybody for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.